Two different stories we're talking about today, everyone. First of which having to do with a new Nintendo Switch game that has been spotted online due to a job hiring. And there's some reason to believe that this might be a large, ambitious, open world Nintendo Switch port that is already out on other consoles. So I want your guys' input on what this might be. Then the other story we're talking about today has to do with a supposed leak around the Nintendo Switch 2 dev kits and potentially developers now having full access to something like DLSS, whatever version Nintendo has running, or if it's some proprietary mix incorporating DLSS tech and it's kind of their own thing. We will dive through all of that. But if these claims are true, developers just got a massive upgrade for their Switch 2 dev kits, and we will talk through the implications on why that's important and why now might be the perfect time to start enabling such a feature. So we'll break all that stuff down. Before we do, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your bell notification to join Sunbro Nation if you're new here. And if you want to skip around in the video, I do have timestamp titles for each of the topics we are going over today. And we're going to first kick it off with this job posting that has been spotted online from Doctre81. Once again, we've referenced this channel a number of times in the past due to their investigative nature online, as they really tend to deep dive job hiring posts from a large variety of game studios, and you sometimes can find out little hints and tidbits of information about projects that are going on when you do said research. So definitely go give him a subscribe and check out his full video. I will have both of those things, his channel and the video, linked in the description down below. And you can see the following job post from Lunit Games, which reads: manage a team to optimize level streaming in open world game on code side to fit Nintendo Switch limitation. Game hangs similar to Batman Arkham Knight or completely fixed. Title under NDA. Manage a team to optimize several bottlenecks in open world game. Average improvement 60 to 70 milliseconds down to 33 to 37 milliseconds per frame. Again, title under NDA. Now, upon digging into Lunit Games, it appears that they are somebody who is often commissioned on game works from Saber Interactive, and some of the ports that they are known for: Crisis Remastered Trilogy, an absolutely fantastic looking Switch port, Kingdom Come Deliverance, and The Witcher 3. So I would say when people online say the phrase, "this is an impossible port for the Nintendo Switch," some of those games are indeed referenced in that type of conversation. Especially think back to The Witcher 3 running on the Switch right around the launch window of the console. Kind of crazy that that game is the scope and size that it is and still runs relatively well and visually impressive on the Nintendo Switch, a hybrid console. And the big question with this story is, what might this open world game be? Now, they made a comparison to the game being similar to Batman Arkham Knight, I suppose, in the visual department. We know that that game launched in an extremely broken state on the Nintendo Switch, and I still don't think it's been fixed. At least I haven't seen any reports online to suggest that it has. So hopefully whatever this game is that they're working on ultimately runs better, but it does get my mind wondering, what might this project be? Now, the open world game I really want to see head to Nintendo Switch, but I don't think is coming until Switch 2, if we see it at all, is Elden Ring. And I don't think that that's this title, although I would love to see Dark Souls 2 and 3 make it over before we're even talking about Elden Ring. And I think in something like 2024, with the games lineup the way that it is, now would be a perfect time to drop one or both of those games towards the end of the Nintendo Switch's life cycle. Then hopefully they just run better with a better frame rate and resolution on the next gen console via backwards compatibility, and maybe we ultimately do see Elden Ring release. But again, that's not what I think is necessarily going on with this project. And you might be able to say maybe it is Dark Souls 2 or 3, and they're just classifying that as an open world because they're large open zones that are strung together with minimal loading screens throughout traversing the world. So you could say that maybe that fits the bill, but I really want to hear from you guys in the comments down below what game you think this could be. Which missing open world game that's out on other consoles currently do you think this job reference could be posting and could be headed to Nintendo Switch next? Now, story number two we're talking about today has to do with Nintendo Switch 2, and specifically Nash Weedle making some claims online suggesting that developers just got a big upgrade to their Nintendo Switch 2 dev kits. Now, many have speculated that this is referencing DLSS. It wasn't entirely clear in his original post when translated that that's what he was referencing to me, but he mentioned like rescaling, which is probably just one of those words that doesn't translate over perfectly, and it means something like DLSS upscaling. But anyway, you can see the following post over on our Gaming Leaks and Rumors, which reads, Leaker Nash Weedle has confirmation from a developer about a Switch 2 dev kit update. The developer told Weedle that the update now allows them to go one step further. It is speculated that this is referencing an update to DLSS upscaling for Nintendo Switch 2 dev kit. This is just after Nate the Hate heard that Nintendo was asking developers for footage/images of their Switch 2 games. Now, the exact post when translated from Nash Weedle reads as follows: the Switch 2 development kit receives an important update. Now the tool allows us to go one step further. I can confirm this is direct information from a developer. It is not speculation. Opinion, I think the update is in reference to rescaling. So whether or not you want to put any kind of stock into Nash Weedle, as I think they've put a lot of information out there, we have yet to see if a ton of it is going to come to fruition, but we also have some stuff that mainly accredited to them around the timing and release of Metroid Dread with the specific title. And of course, you can say we already knew the title Metroid Dread from back in the day when that was originally going to be a 3DS game or DS game, whichever one it was. Then it was canceled and shelved and ultimately brought back as Metroid Dread on the Nintendo Switch. But the timing of him talking about that was interesting ahead of the reveal of that official game. And even if you don't want to put any stock into his own track record, I think it's widely accepted that Nintendo Switch 2 will have DLSS. This has been suggested from numerous credible sources online, and even the Nvidia leak tying things back to the T239, likely the chipset that we will see inside of Nintendo Switch 2. And we know that Nintendo will likely heavily lean into a technology like DLSS 3.0, 3.1, 3.5, whichever they end up landing on, but to essentially take a lot of the load off of the processing chip itself, hand that over to AI, because this is more or less a cheat code technology for developers to be able to run games at a much lower base resolution natively, then use AI to upscale and enhance the image. And to the average consumer's eye, you can have something running at a base resolution of 1080p or 1440p, and it's upscaled all the way to 4K with minimal effort on the actual GPU doing that heavy lifting itself. And while I don't think we see 4K in handheld, we will be talking about that likely with docked performance on Nintendo Switch 2. And then of course in handheld, we would hope to see a 1080p display this time around for this console, and hopefully it gets games running from 720p or even lower upscaled to that crisp 1080p in handheld mode on an 8-inch display. I think that will look fantastic. And the timing of this info is interesting if true, because as referenced in this post, we just heard recently from Nate the Hate that he's been hearing from people that it is now time to get trailers and footage of their games ready to hand off to Nintendo, presumably for some kind of first look trailer or a reveal trailer for this console, or even just general trailers as we talk about the marketing cycle after Nintendo officially pulls back the curtain on this thing. The claims back from Gamescom of 2023 is that Nintendo was showing targeted PC spec hardware running the Matrix Awakening demo and also Breath of the Wild in 4K with essentially no load times, and it now might be time for them to give the update of DLSS to the dev kits so they can start to get their games looking better than ever, and Nintendo can really showcase what this console is capable of when they are ready to reveal it. I still personally am expecting to hear something, or Nintendo at least acknowledge the console's existence by May in their investors meeting, when they're going to be talking about their annual fiscal year forecast for the upcoming fiscal year. So I feel like it's going to come up there with investors. I feel like Nintendo at least has to say we are in the planning stages of revealing it to the general audience. Stay tuned for more. Or maybe they give us a code name, or maybe they just do the classic Nintendo thing and say no comment, we're not able to talk about any of those plans at this time. I feel like that's a very stale answer well over 7 years after the Switch is launched, and I think investors are going to be pressing them on this. But I would love for that summertime reveal rumor to be true, and we can find out if it's going to be that much more likely if we get a Nintendo Direct presentation or not in April, because the same source that's suggesting a June reveal is saying a mainline Direct, or at least some kind of first party Direct, whether it be mini or mainline general. We'll have to wait and see, but if that takes place in April, it leads that much more credence to a June time reveal for this hardware, so we can stop speculating around what's it called, when might it finally launch, and we can actually talk about some hard facts with Nintendo Switch 2. But let me know in the comments down below how you felt about both the different stories we talked about today. What's the open world game that you hope we see ported to the Nintendo Switch that's not there today? today? And what do you think about developers supposedly having the power of DLSS now in their hands for the Nintendo Switch 2 dev kits? And what games do you hope we see utilize this tech from a first or third party perspective as we get closer to the console's ultimate launch? So regardless of your thoughts and feelings on everything we talked about today, I do look forward to hearing from you all in the comments down below before you leave the video, as I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all around these topics. Go watch the video on screen next if you haven't already. Also make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.